Hello friends, welcome to this sound design video on the Waldorf Iridium Keyboard. Waldorf were kind enough to send me the synthesizer and asked me to do some stuff on it. Full disclosure, I used to work for Waldorf many years ago, about 10 years ago, and they were super cool to send me this and yeah, let me review it for you. And this video is going to be about making the kinds of sounds you're hearing now from scratch. So let's have a listen. I cracked myself up with this thing. Holy shit. Okay. All right. So what's going on in this session, just so you have an idea. I'm running two layers with exactly the same MIDI file, which is what you're seeing in Bitwig here. Bitwig Studio, it's just a very simple little MIDI progression, but there is sequencers or arpeggiators running on each layer. The first layer is a bass sound. The second layer is kind of a pad with like a slow attack and release, which is why it just gets very big. So how do we make sounds like this from scratch? That's what we want to know, right? So I'm gonna basically load Init patches into both of these. And show you what I've done to get this kind of a sound. So here we go. We go load. We say init. We're going to reset. And then layer 2, we're going to load an init. Okay, got there in the end. Okay, so we have two init patches loading right now. Let's start with the bassline first. MIDI clock. I'm sending it MIDI clock. It's set to snap to beat. So that means it's not going to start playing the arpeggiator or sequencer until it's in time with whatever it's coming in. Yeah. So what in essence I'm telling it is, hey, you can listen to MIDI clock from this amazing ERM multi-clock that's over there in the corner. And I've set that up so that it's just really tight with the beats and the music coming off of Bitwig Studio. That's kind of the most important thing related to clocking it. And yeah, if you don't have a ERM multi-clock, which I can absolutely recommend, I'm going to do a video about this another day, just use your MIDI clock timing delay in your DAW to make sure the output that you're sending MIDI clock to is really tight on your kick drum. And make sure that, you know, I'm not quite sure how good every DAW is, but if you add like a plugin that has massive latency, it may throw that off again. So maybe don't add lots of plugins and take away lots of plugins once you're doing this kind of recording, because you're going to get out of time. Okay, on the master, I have compression up to about 50%. Okay, so this is what we have now. It's a very simple, what are we using here? What kind of a wave? We're on wavetable still, so I'm going to switch this over to waveform just to do kind of normal synthesis to start with. So right now we have a ramp wave of some sort. Let's have a look. I think I was using the sawtooth for the example. So what I'm going to do is drop my keyboard down an octave. Okay, here we go. And what I would like this to do is to play kind of a short, pretty percussive bass. So I'm just going to adjust my envelopes. What I also like to do is link the filters. So I'm just going to link them here using the touchscreen, sort of sync them up. And the filters that I most prefer using for electronic music are, for example, the 24 dB low pass, which just makes it a little bit more punchy. And this is an interesting little tweak. The filter model that I find I've liked the best is actually the Largo from the software synthesizer of theirs. It sounds really good, I think. Okay, so there we have our filters set up. Can have a lot of fun going to the Digiformer and laying a comb in for later on. That's where the madness comes from. Yeah, but we're going to get to that. Okay. So now we have our sort of basic sound. for the bass, and we can now go to our sequencer settings, and I'm going to put this not on ARP to begin. Oh, actually, let's run it quickly as an ARP to give you an idea of how this sounds and how powerful the arpeggiator is. Cool thing with ARPs, of course, it's really useful to set your envelopes so they feel funky. The swing, this is kind of a super important parameter. Listen to what happens when I just add like, what is it, 53, 54, 55, I guess, percent swing. So yeah, that's an essential parameter. I leave that around 55. So yeah, this is your standard arpeggio. What's really nice is you have a couple of presets for the arpeggio, which are these rhythm patterns here. And you can tell it you want it to jump back to the beginning after a certain amount of notes, but that's all pretty self-explanatory. So if you have this unit, this device, you can play with that. What I want to show you is the sequencer, which is really, really cool to use. So the sequencer, when you want to do your sequence, it's just a matter of hitting record. I think I'm getting a MIDI echo from the computer. Hang on a second, let me mute that. I forgot something here. I still have in the MIDI section, I have local on. We don't want that. Let's go back to the sequencer, go back to the beginning, switch on MIDI again in the sequencer, in the DAW. And actually, I'm going to go back. Okay, that's it. What I wanted to show you is, of course, because it's a sequencer, you can transpose it super easily. So check this out. So super fun to play with the sequencer. I'm looking forward to diving into that deeper. Okay, so we have all that set up now. What else did I do? I mean, I think the timing on the filter and envelopes is super important. So let me show you that quickly. Yeah, so here you have the settings of what I've used for this. Loop mode is off on both filters, on both envelopes, just so you know. Exponential curve, release curve, etc. Cool, that's that. Let's do the effects, which I think is super nice to have. So let's go over. I'm just going to turn a knob of the effects. I find that the easiest. I'm going to choose a delay for the first, and for the second I'm going to choose a reverb, and that's it. Like, there isn't that much to do. I'm going to add the reverb, a bit of a shelving filter, so it tends more towards high frequencies. And yeah, let's have a listen to what that sounds like. It's just too easy. It's like cheating. Okay, effects. Okay, so we have effect 1 set up this way, which is just a delay with 8 dotted notes. Perfect. That's exactly what I usually use. And the reverb is set to the preset, well, whatever the first thing it is that you click on it, that's what it's set to. What else do we have? Ah, yes, the former. So as I showed you, I chose Comb Plus, and with that is where you can go really crazy. Yeah, let me show you the effect that it has. So amount is set to 0, color is set to 0, and type I've just set it to Comb Plus. Here we go. super cool, sick. You can do harmonies and kind of, yeah, like, you know, you can, or add overtones to it using the comb filter. There's like 25 more ways to destroy your sound with the former in there. Important about the former is your routing. I have both filters going first into the former, and as you can see right now, we're only running one oscillator, which is incredible. But the rabbit hole deepens. I can get this bass actually to sound super, super wide if I want also, without adding more voices or oscillators. How? Using the count function. It's the count of the kernel. So let me switch off both of the effects, just taking them down, and bring us back to just the bass by itself. So we have it now, just one mono voice on the oscillator 1, a little bit of detune on it, but you see this little button here that says kernel, kernel count. That's where it gets super interesting. So let me show you what that does. So if you're on headphones, you will have noticed that that makes the sound incredibly wide, super easily. This weird kind of echo is annoying me a bit. Something's going on with the bass. Let me fix it quickly. Okay, I've learned something new. When the kernel color is selected up, even though the amount was on 0, it was affecting the sound. So I've just taken both down. Now we're cool, we're back. So yeah, coming back to how you can make a bass, very simple one oscillator, one voice bass sound very wide using this kernel. Have a listen. Super cool function, so easy to get a sound wide. You can do it the old school kind of classic way, which would be using the voicing. So let me go to the master, go to the voicing, and add a unisono to this. Let's just start with 2 voices. And I'm going to just run it the way it comes out of the box standard. So I think what's interesting is that when you run unisono, it kind of gets messy. It gets a little bit out of time. We can't fix this on the Iridium, but that's actually a problem that I often hear with other synths. They don't all have like synchronized waveform starts or something. So what we can do here is select unisono. We can take 2 and we can do the uni detune, take it down, uni delay, take it down, and then we have this. I kind of like the kernel version better, although this does sound super cool. So if you want to get back to this, actually, you know what? Let me save this preset. Now it's saved. Let's do a second version without the unisono bass and actually with the widening using the kernel function that I showed you. Cool. Now you have both options. I'm going to call this Iridium Wide Bass 2. Enter. I'm going to save it to the next slot. There we go. I mean, obviously, importantly, a lot of the groove of the bass comes from the amount of velocity, sensitivity that you're giving both to the filter envelope and to the overall envelope. And anyway, you're going to get this preset, so it's going to be super easy. How do we turn this into that weirdo kind of pad sound that I had going on? I'm going to go to layer 2 and I'm going to load the Iridium white bass that I just made. Cool. So I'm going to just now take down the volume of layer 1 and we're going to be listening to basically the same sound on layer 2. So this is a nice little trick that I like to use a lot, which is I'm just going to raise the attack on this sound. raise the sustain a bit and lengthen the release. Now we have kind of like a pads or like a harmonic sound that's very much aligned to the original sound. It's getting the same MIDI, it's the same basic foundation under it. And what I'm just going to do is take this envelope an octave up. It's pretty loud. Going back to my layer 1, let me bring the volume up on that. I've just realized I haven't set this up in such a way that it'll play both sounds at the same time, which was in its voicing mode. And I want this not to be a single sound, but I want this to be layered. Here we go. So just like that, you have something that you can use to make like a fat bass line, and then I'm just using that to trigger quickly a higher function, like a higher pad based on basically the same sound. But you can make, like I showed you with the former, really nice harmonics on it. So let's do that as a final touch for the paddy sound. Yeah, this was my little sound design tutorial on how I use the Waldorf Iridium, the little tips and tricks for getting it to play nicely with on the floor electronic music, and how you can get the most out of it for those kinds of sounds. I'm going to share these two presets and put them in a link below this video, so you can just grab them and load them up if you have the synth and have a starting point maybe. Yeah, that's it for me today. I hope that this has been useful for you, and that you maybe consider actually taking the synth into a different direction if you've mostly been doing kind of the spacey, soundscapey thing with it, because it's a beast for to the floor driven music. Oh, and yes, if this is the video that takes you over the edge and you decide to go for it and grab yourself an Iridium, there's affiliate links down below, which means you can support the channel at no extra cost to you. We get a kickback if you buy one of these at Thomann. And actually, I was just on the site checking, and right now they're selling the keyboard version for the same price as the desktop module. Anyway, there's links below, and with that I hope you have a great time in the studio. Definitely check out our web store, rapidflow.shop, where we offer all kinds of products to make you faster and more effective in the studio. Everything you heard today was actually based on our Bitwig Studio template that you see here, which makes sure that I'm getting this quality of sound from a synthesizer that's playing live. There's a massive mastering chain happening here, which is making this sound so nice. And of course, you can use this for your tracks. Yeah, big thanks to Waldorf for the great collaboration so far. Yeah, and that's it for me today. I'm going to jam with this a bit more because I'm having a blast, and I will see you on the next video. Take it easy. Bye-bye.